My name is Chris Campbell. I'm a practicing CPA, and I work with small businesses and individuals to help them pay the least amount of taxes while keeping them out of jail. So today I want to talk about payroll taxes, specifically payroll tax reporting, because here's a little thing that I see that tends to jam up a lot of my clients. Let's say you have an employee and you start reporting payroll. So whether you're doing that by hand, well, I'd say by hand, but say reporting it on your own. Most folks use a third-party software to do the payroll, like your ADPs, your paychecks. QuickBooks offers it. I have a favorite as well. Gusto's my favorite, but they don't charge as much, so you may want to look at them for your payroll. But nonetheless, let's say that you're using one of these services, you're processing your payroll, and then you stop. So let's say that the employee that you had, for whatever reason, you don't have them anymore, and you don't have a payroll anymore. So whether that be if you have employees, or I see this a lot with the folks that have S corporations and they're the only employees, so they have to put themselves on payroll. So let's say that they stop or they pause the payroll. So I have a number of clients that will pause the payroll if you're in an S corp and you're the only employee. We've done some strategies where you'll just pay yourself, say at the end of the year. So you'll have a number of quarters where you're not paying payroll. But the point is that when you stop using the payroll company or you unsubscribe from the service because you're not using payroll, if you do that, it creates a problem, because these payroll companies, in addition to actually processing the payroll and paying you or your employees, they also file the quarterly payroll tax returns. What happens is if you stop the service, they stop filing the quarterly payroll tax returns, as well as the annual returns that they have to do at the end of the year. The problem with that is where I see a number of business owners get jammed up is that although the payroll service has stopped submitting those payroll tax returns, the authorities are still expecting those returns. So even if you didn't have payroll, once you put in that initial payroll tax return, both at the state and federal level, both of these authorities, state and feds, will expect a payroll tax return every quarter thereafter. Unless you specifically report to them that you're out of business and you're not doing payroll anymore, you still have to file a payroll tax, even if you did not have any payroll. So even if you had no payroll, you have to submit 0 tax return. So it's literally the forms that you send in and it's just zeros across the board. You have to let them know that there's no payroll. And if you don't plan on doing payroll ever again, then you need to notify both the IRS and the state that you're not doing payroll ever again, and that way they would stop looking for it. But if you have not, then they're going to look for it. So point being is that even if you have no payroll, you still have to report 0 tax return. Literally, you're just filling out a form with a bunch of zeros on it, put your tax number on it, and you send it in. But where this creates a lot of issues is that because the payroll companies aren't sending it in and no one else is doing it, you'll start getting notices from the IRS, from the state, hey, we haven't received your return for this particular quarter. And what tends to happen, I know with some states, I don't know if the IRS will do this, but I know with some states, if they don't receive that quarterly payroll tax return, and if you don't respond to it, they'll file one for you based upon the previous returns when you did have payroll, and they'll just assume that you just paid something similar to that again, and then they'll just charge you for the taxes that you were supposed to submit on that. And on top of that, they'll hit you with the interest and the penalty. So you have to stay on top of that, and it kind of creates headaches because you'll start getting notices saying tax due when you just had to fill out a 0 return. So pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Lesson being, just got to stay on top of your filings when you're not running payroll anymore. So that's all for now. If you have any questions about this particular topic or any other tax, accounting, business-related subjects, feel free to reach out. Happy to help. That's all for now. I'll see you on the next one.